Wall Street Memes Casino.
I'm fine.
And Sportsbook.
In a place that means a lot to you, you've pledged financially to support the Boxwise Foundation. Can you tell us just a little bit more?
Yeah, Queensbury have got involved with Boxwise, and we've pledged a substantial sum of money to help increase the amount of youngsters that are going through this Boxwise system, which is a 10-week course. At the moment they're doing 1,500 kids a year. That'll go up to 3,000. And it's a life-changing moment for a lot of these youngsters. It's not about them being boxers. It's about them using boxing and the gyms to learn things about respect, discipline, obesity, nutrition, respecting each other's different ethnic backgrounds, and this is a result probably or because of all the knife crime that's been taking place in every major city, and it seems in villages now around the country. So this is us doing our small bit and helping to support Boxwise, which is a magnificent charity. See all these youngsters here today. If this wasn't happening today, where would they be? They'd be out on the street.
Tell us a little bit what it's like for them being a youngster growing up in Islington.
Listen, it was all different times, but back then there was fighting, there was knives, and it was no different. Probably not as. It wasn't as much as it is now, but it's a different world we live in. But back then, there were. I can assure you, there was quite a bit of it, and I can assure you, when I was younger, I was there, so I know what it's like.
Just a quick recap on Birmingham before we talk about Joyce and Chisora. Brad Pauls and Nathan Heaney have shared 24 rounds. Brad is now the one with the British title. They're an exciting 24 rounds and made for a really good, quick little British rivalry.
It's been brilliant. I mean, both of them. It was a fantastic fight on Saturday. Early part of it, Nathan was doing what he had to do. Brad got back into it in the fourth round, and it sort of ebbed and flowed there. I thought it was very close, and then when it mattered, Brad did what he had to do and emphatically won the fight. There was, I think it was the 8th or 9th round when Nathan was catching Brad with a few body shots. I thought that was going to be a telling moment, but Brad came through it and did what he had to do. Magnificent fight, great for the fans. Brad went into the other guy's backyard with his great support. But it's not the end of the world for Nathan. He may stay at that weight, he may go up. Whatever he wants to do, we're with him. And obviously, as far as Brad's concerned, we will push him forward as well.
And just one more from me, away from the actual fights that happened, there was two fighters who had a bit of beef outside the ring, Liam Davis, Shabazz Massoud, Sol Dakers and David Adelaide. Are they two fights that we're going to see immediately next for those two fighters?
Well, that makes sense for the next Magnificent Seven, doesn't it? I mean, it's a fabulous format. It works in every way. You've seen some really outstanding fights on this, and exciting fights. Ashley and the Kane fight. Lane and Kane was a brilliant fight. I mean, so exciting, and I think a star was born. Another youngster we got who's coming through looks superb, fantastic. And Echo's fight, I mean, what a fight that was, those two guys. I mean, I thought that was all over. And he went back to that corner, and I was watching it on TV, I went back to the corner, and you could see how he was firing himself up and come out and turn the fight completely around. Brilliant fight.
Frank, moving on to...
Chantel. What a fight that was. The fight statistics on there, the amount of punches that were thrown were quite amazing. What everybody forgets, they're 2-minute rounds. The action in that fight was amazing.
Frank, moving on to this week. Obviously, yesterday we saw the first face-off on the top of the O2. It looked like Derek Chisora didn't really want to go up there. Just an amazing fight, and it should be a little bit of a tasty build-up this week.
Look, it's a big fight. It's a moment in time for them both. They're not youngsters. One's going to win, one's going to lose, because it certainly won't go the distance, in my opinion. And for the winner, he'll go on, and the loser, I don't know where he goes because of his age.
Is it the end of the road for Joe Joyce if Derek does do a job on him?
Whoever loses this fight is going to have a real tough problem getting back to the top. You know, neither of them can afford it at their age. They can't afford it. You know, Joe's not got the miles on the clock as a pro as Derek's got. And I said a couple of years ago, Derek maybe should have retired. But to be quite honest, he wants to prove me wrong. And he's still there, and he's still doing it, and he's still competitive. But he's in with somebody who can't afford to lose. For Joe, it's funny, Joe, before the fights with Zhang, he was the heavyweight no one wanted to fight. He was the one everyone was talking about, so he's going to give the most problems to the champions. So he's got to get himself really back in contention, and he's got to do that by putting in an emphatic performance.
I don't know if you saw the head-to-head hosted by Dev. Quite a bizarre... the finger. But Derek also give you a compliment. He said, if you want to become a world champion, Frank is the promoter to be with. Was you expecting compliments from Derek this week?
No, I wasn't. It was very kind of him to say that, and I appreciate that.
Frank just mentioned there that you don't know what could be next for Joe or for Derek, but on Joe's front, if, say, he was to be unsuccessful and it was the end of the road, would you feel like he's underachieved in his career? Yeah, if he was to lose to Derek and it was the end of his road in his career.
He's a silver medalist from the Olympic Games. I mean, he should have been a gold medalist. That was a dodgy decision. I mean, I've even said that. I don't know why they're hanging around and not giving him his gold medal. Yeah, it would be, but we've got to see, what Derek can bring to the table now. Derek's got to prove feels he's got something to prove, and he has got to prove something. He can still compete at that level, and so has Joe. And Joe Joyce losing this fight, I don't know. I think he's got a real tough road back if he can get a road back.
If he wins, Adam Morley said last week, I want to take him to Saudi Arabia next. Is that the plan, provided Joe comes through?
Look, Adam's been a brilliant manager. Joe's a really nice guy, as Derek has been as well. There is a prize there, that whether it be Saudi Arabia or a big show in the UK, there are some really big fights out there for the winner of that fight, and they could get themselves in a position very quickly to maybe become fighting as a challenger for a world title, or depending what happens with the belts, whether they fragment, being there fighting for a vacant title. Who knows? But you've got to win it to be in it.
Frank, sticking with heavyweights, Moses Atama versus Marius Vax, a great fight. What do you expect? Do you expect to see tough rounds for Moses on Saturday, or do you expect to see him stop as a very tough and durable man?
Look, Moses catching you've got a problem. He's a good finisher. And what we're trying to do is get him some rounds. So we brought in a guy who's experienced. I mean, he's been in with Klitschko's. I mean, he's got a wealth of experience. And for me, if I was him, what am I going to do? I'm going to try and old man him. I'm going to take him into later rounds. So Moses has got to show what his boxing IQ is about. He's still a teenager. He's only 19, and he's being stepped up. You look at other than Tyson, you look at most of the guys. None of them turned pro till they were in their 20s. You talked about Joe Joyce earlier. How old was he when he turned pro? 28, 29? You look at how old was AJ when he turned pro. He's a teenager.
Frank, away from that, there was a report last week saying that Queensbury might set up a broadcasting deal with DAZN moving into next year. Is there anything on that you can talk to us about?
We have a contract and a relationship with TNT, was BT, TNT, and we have a great relationship, working relationship, and that continues.
Would you expect to see that renewed in 2025?
We will see.
Yeah, Frank, just on that line, are the conversations ongoing with TNT to continue the deal, or is it finalising with DAZN?
I don't know where you're getting the ongoing from. There isn't. We have a contract, I've just said, with TNT, that's it.
But further to that contract, is the interest there from TNT to continue the deal?
We'll see what happens when that contract expires.
Can you confirm that there's an offer on the table from DAZN?
We will see what happens when that contract expires. We have a contract. That's the last thing I'm going to say on the matter.
With the signing of Brandon Lee, that would then indicate that potentially you're looking to do overseas fights and fight nights. Does that, it kind of makes sense that
We do overseas fights. We do
in
them already.
America?
Well, it's nothing unusual. I mean, we launched Showbox in America. You know, we've done, God knows how many shows over the years have done in America. And we made a decision after Box Nation, we made a real conscious decision to focus on here, the UK, and build a base here and build a group of fighters that we feel can go on and then fight around the world or in America. And that's what we've been doing, and we've done it very successfully.
What would you say about the potential viewership if there was to be a deal with DAZN as to the eyes that it would bring to boxing as it's off of the traditional means of television and onto an app? Do you feel that it might cause, in the short term at least, a drop in some viewership?
I wouldn't say anything because it's irrelevant at the moment.
Last year as well too, just to clear up Daniel Dubois, there was a question from 258 management regarding enrolling into VADA. What was the situation then? Was he enrolled before the tweet came out?
He was enrolled 40 hours after the letter comes saying to be enrolled.
When did that letter come in?
I'm not sure the date, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was. And unfortunately a tweet was, or something was put out mentioning that from 258, which was totally inappropriate. You know, the next day it was all done. It's just ridiculous. It's an absolute. How many title fights has he had? Usyk, Bryant, and the last one. All VADA, tested. So what is anyone trying to make about this? Fights on the 21st of September. I mean, I don't know where it's going. What is this bullshit all about? He's enrolled. They're both enrolled. And by the way, he gets tested regularly by UCAT. And he's never failed a test, by the way.
I won't contest that at all, but I just wonder why that was allowed to get to that point, because it allows people to kind of...
It's not been allowed to get to that point at all. Nothing's been allowed. We've done everything appropriately and properly. Nothing's been allowed. That's your words, that's not what it is. When you want to read that into it, that's up to you. But you're wrong. Next one.
Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.